What's up, everybody? How you doing? How'd you like my little morning music for you?
Love it.
Right on, right on. Good to see y'all. Good to see you. What's up, Brian? He's already on the phone, man. You guys are amazing. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. Good to see you. That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm glad to be here. I see some familiar faces, some new faces. Good to see you. I see Wendy and Samantha and Ryan, Richard, Boyd, new in the house. How you doing, Boyd? Nice to see you here. Good to see you. What part of the country are you in?
Salt Lake City, Utah.
Salt Lake City. Good to meet you and good to talk to you. We've got a coaching client there that we were talking about the market yesterday. Halsey, Russell, just a lot of great faces on the call here this morning. I appreciate it. So let's get rolling. It's 9:02. First off, I have an announcement. This is the last free coaching call you're going to have on Thursdays. I'm sorry. It's been moved to Mondays. So we're moving it to Mondays. It's going to be 10 to 11 on Mondays. Just a little schedule change. We're flip-flopping I have a 2 Comma Club agent attraction call I do on Mondays. We're flip-flopping those two. So the free coaching call for production will be on Monday mornings, 10 to 11. This was Matthew Stewart's idea. Actually, I really loved it because that will give you marching orders and a game plan for the whole week rather than coaching on Thursday. I think it'll be valuable in that respect, as well as it's a great way to start out your Monday with a shot in the arm of coaching inspiration and something to help you in that week. All right, everybody. So what I want to show you real quick, and this is just to help you find these things. I'm going to share my screen just a second, and I'll share it with everybody. This is my internal stuff, but you guys are all welcome to it. If you're on this call, you're welcome to it. So let me show you what I'm looking at. So this is my site, birdhouse.team. The reason I'm showing you is all of our weekly meetings will be right up here at the top. Okay. So if you go to the birdhouse.team, you see it right up there. I will copy this and put it into the chat as well. www. What's that? I didn't know if you were talking to me. Your mic's on. Okay, so there's the link. But once you're on the page, if you go to weekly meetings, you're going to see that this has all the 5 fundamental weekly meetings. We have more than this, but this is like Matthew runs a call and Jeffrey runs a call. And we've got several other calls that happen. We'll add those as we progress. But these are like the Monday through Friday meat and potatoes meetings that you can attend. The production coaching is, again, going to be on Mondays now, 10 to 11. Dawn Yoakum does a free coaching call on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Dawn's brilliant, just different styles. It's good to have multiple different coaches, right? Tom Daves has multiple coaches, so do I. So Tuesdays, Dawn Yoakum. Wednesday is our Atomic Habits team meeting. That is our team meeting. We do, encourage people to join us. It's all good, right? And then Thursdays now will be the attraction coaching, and we're having a different guest every week. Next week, it's going to be Gene Frederick, one of the board of directors. And then we've got different guest speakers. And then Tom Daves, #1 Keller Williams agent in the world, now with EXP. He does a coaching call every single Friday. He has top producing guests and, Barbara Corcoran, you name it. He's got some amazing guests. So you've got 5 days of things to plug into if you want. But we're going to bookend the week with a production coaching call with me on Mondays. And then Friday, Tom Daves wraps up the week. Okay. So that's that. If you have any questions, you could always email us. We'll help you through that. I just want you to be able to find where all these things are because we're not doing that calendar invite anymore. All right. Any questions on that before I continue? All right, cool. So in preparation for today's call, again, I always try to think what's going to bring the most value to you this week. And what it is this week is shift. It's like shift, the shift of the market. It's real. It's not going away. There's no indicators that this is just a little kind of blip. It's going to be a significant shift. So I don't have panic in my voice. I have a little bit of excitement. Winter is coming. People get rich in the winter, right? There's ways to take advantage of the winter. But when I look at this from a coaching perspective, I coached all day yesterday. And all my clients were concerned, Salt Lake City, Florida, Utah, Canada, they're all saying the same thing. Give you a couple of statistics from my coaching clients' input yesterday, not verified, but Canada, they saw a 25% decrease in like a week after that first interest rate. It was like a faucet. And Utah we went from 30 days ago on the market, we went from 2 days of inventory on the market to over a month, maybe even approaching up to 2 months of inventory, all within 30 days. That's a massive shift. That's a meteoric shift, right? So as we look at this, there's more rate hikes coming. There's these things happening. I want to prepare you for this. So, and if you don't have your mic on mute it, just so, we don't disturb anybody on the call. I'll mute a couple that I see unmuted, but unmute yourself if you want to talk, please. All right. So again, it's not a time to panic. It's a time to understand how to get in front of this. So when we have a changing market, inventory is going to start increasing. We're seeing less buyers have an affordability on the housing. So every time it goes up a half a point, about 50 basis points, it's called, we lose about 10% of the buyers. So you may see that independently in your buyers. If you have 10, you're going to go to 9 or 8, whatever it is that you lose. But overall, we lose 10% of the buyers in the whole complete market when the rates go up. We've had 2, so we're looking at a 20% reduction in buyers. On top of that, inventory is starting to increase because of that. Less buyers are available to buy. We might see inventory increase a little bit in the beginning because of people wanting to get it in front of this market, try to take advantage of the top of the market, which we've identified now. It's 3 weeks ago, right, was the top of the market. And so as we start declining and going into a more traditional market, we have in most areas 2 weeks of inventory. That is a seller's market, absolutely strong seller's market. We've seen 2 days inventory, right? So what that means is that as we start increasing these the months of inventory on the market from 1 month to 2 months, and we get into 4 is about when we start getting into buyers territory, where we get buyers market territory around 4%, 6% is a square buyers favorable buyers market, right? So as we move in from that 3 months to 4 months, we're going to start shifting to a neutral place. And then I believe that we'll shift quickly. Even by the end of this year, we'll be in a buyer's market. So think about that. In 6 months, I predict that by the winter of, and not that winter I was talking about, but physical winter, by Christmas in January of 2023, I think we'll be in a buyer's market with 4 to 5, 6 months average inventory in these MLSs and markets. There's going to be pockets that are different, pockets that are heavily cash buyers. They're not as affected by it, pockets of second home markets and things like that. But the market is changing. So that's going to change a lot of dynamics. There's been a lot of things that have been fueled by incredibly low interest rates. I told you I refinanced this year at 2.25 in like January of this year. And now you're talking refinances in the almost the 6 range, right? So that just killed the refinance market overnight, literally overnight. And so refinances were down 90% in the first week after the rate increases, because a 0.5% increase from the Fed level does not translate to 0.5% in our world, right? So we were in the mid to high 2s, and then we immediately went into the 4s and started getting into the 5s immediately, right? So we had this shift of almost 2% in the market. And then the next interest rate raised it again. So now we're in the square 6 area. Right? Does everybody agree with that? We're in that, if you can get into the 5 still, you're in a good place. And we're starting to see 6, and you'll see 7s with the next rate increase. So we'll see most loans in the 6s, and then we'll get into the 7% ranges when we see the next rate increase, which they announced is going to either be next month or in the beginning of July. So those things are coming, right? Those things are, unless they feel like they got too fast, which happens, then they'll scale back the rate increases, but they have to curb this inflation that's out of, it's completely out of control. Cost of living index, all these things are pressuring the market. Stock market's down, right? That's a Hank Williams song, right? There's a lot of things going on right now that make this messy. It's messy. That's the best way to explain it. So away from the doom and gloom, what opportunities are there? Right? There's going to be obviously a lot more buyer opportunities. Buyer leads are going to become valuable again, where they've been, a dime a dozen over the last 2 years. You don't need buyer leads, right? You need listings. So now listings are going to be easier to come by and potentially increasing that inventory. Distressed sales are going to be a thing, right? It just goes with the market, goes with recessionary times. If you retract in 2 quarters, that's considered recession. I mean, just because we might not have a global recession as you put your finger on it, 2 quarters of retracted growth is effectively putting us into a recession. I think that's almost got to happen to get this financial thing to turn around. Again, that's going to be opportunity for some, right? I flip houses. We took a 2-year hiatus because it was just crazy to try and flip. Now it aligned with all the business things we had going on in a good way also for time freedom, but it's been really, really difficult to buy flips. And if you have investor clients, you understand that, you're buying these flips. And think about it. What about if you got a flip today and it takes you 4 months to prep that flip for market, and in 4 months the rates are at 9% or 8%, and the inventory is increased from 2 days to 4 months? You've got this flip that you bought at today's current price, and then you've moved into a downscale of a market. You might be chasing that deal down, and so opportunities are going to be coming up. What I want to focus on today and the coaching aspect of this is the conversations that we're having with sellers. I think that's going to be the biggest opportunity for you to make headway in your business, is educating the sellers on what's going on and knowing your data, right? I'm a big advocate for data. In all my coaching clients, I try to focus on what's the average sales price, what's the day on market, what's the average price per square foot. So we know our data when we're having professional conversations. The reason I say that is this new market that we're heading into. We don't know if it's 1, 2, 3 year cycle, right? We've all seen cycles. We saw this in 92 to 99. We had a real estate cycle. It was, a recession for real estate, 92 to 99, roughly a couple of years either direction, right? I remember I got my contractor's license in 92, and, construction took a hit because real estate took a hit and was recessionary. And then after that, it was 2006 to 2009. That was that time frame that we saw the next real downturn that was fueled by financial bank regulation and really loose banking. And then now 2022 is going to be on the map now as the next recession or the next downturn, I say. I want to be cautious not to say recession. I think that's a little premature. But again, understanding what's going to be coming up. We're going to see, for instance, when you're doing CMAs right now, in the last 2 years, you could kind of throw a dart at the wall with your CMA. Is that accurate? Everybody agree? And I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads, right? The value analysis of the house is like throwing darts. You're like, well, one sold for 6, but the one next door sold for 8. And I think we're somewhere good in the 7s, right? I mean, that was really the reality of it. Now you've got to really price your comps at market or below market because the market's turning downward trend wise. So in the past, we could say the markets was still increasing 18% in 1 year in most of these markets. So even if we missed it by 5%, we're going to catch up with it in a month or 2 or 3, right? But now as we're trending the other direction, if you're at market, well, in 30 days, you might be 5 or 10 or 15% priced out of the market. And so as an inventory increases, you get more competition. And that listing now that was overpriced is really in a critical, precarious position because you've got to get in front of the market. You can't price back to the market at that point. You've got to get in front of the market. And me being licensed for 19 years, I got licensed in 03. I lived in the heyday of 03, 04, 05, where we were in the market. We were in 2021, right? It was just, everything was selling like crazy. There was no inventory. It was like the market was the wild, wild west. And then all of a sudden it just stopped like a faucet, whether that was 06, 07, whatever you want to classify it as. It stopped literally overnight. And then we started having these massive implosions of financial institutions. And we were in for a couple years of that real estate winter. As we look at the market now, and you're totally welcome to disagree with me, and you're totally welcome to have your own opinions that you're talking to your clients about. I am just one voice. I'm just one person, but I'm giving you feedback from 16 clients that are some of the top clients in the nation. 1,000 units in one of my clients, 2,000 units in the team of my other client, 1,200 units in Canada in a year, right? So all kind of different inputs and feedbacks. But statistically, as soon as we saw the first rate increase, we saw a 10% price reduction start hitting the MLSs where we didn't have price reductions that were measurable. So as you leave today, I would say write down 3 key metrics that I'd like you to understand in your market. One is going to be saturation, it's called, but better known as how many months of inventory. It's called a saturation analysis. Okay. So as you look at this, know what your saturation analysis is, or know what your months of inventory is. It's been in the weeks for most people on this call, and it's going to start moving into the months. So number one, know how many months of inventory and watch that so you can educate people by saying, hey, 2 weeks ago, we had 3 weeks. Now we have a month and a half. So we've doubled in the last 3 weeks, for instance. Those numbers will be true. All right. The next thing is price reductions. Price reductions are going to be that leading indicator of what the market's doing. If the MLS has got 0 price reductions, then obviously there's no pressure on the amount of inventory. There's a lack of inventory. As inventory increases, we're going to see price reductions increase. And even if inventory stays the same, price reductions will increase. They'll go to 10% price reductions. And what you look at is like if there's 200 listings on the market and there's 20 price reductions, that's a 10% of the home's price reduced, right? I think we could move into these 20 and 30 and even 40% price reductions in your MLSs. So that's something you want to know. And if it's not happening, then my data is wrong for you specifically, right? But I think overall, I could say with some certainty that we're going to see these things increase as we progress. Inventory is also the other key metrics, I think, because as inventory starts increasing, and we might have a little lull where inventory gets kind of bought up by the people trying to get in front of all the rest of the price increases and the interest rates, because in reality, people still need to buy, people still need to sell. 6% is not a bad rate, right? Historically, if you look at rates, 6% is a great rate. We used to celebrate 6%. And I'm not saying that like 1985, I'm talking just within the last 10 years. But a lot of agents have not been in the market 10 years. So you've never been through what we went through in 2008, 9, and 10, right? That all 13 years ago now. That sounds like an eternity, but that's where we were. So the agents that have been in the business less than a decade have never been through this particular turn. Where there's really going to be opportunity, I think, is in your language, is in your scripts and dialogues with buyers and sellers. And remember, one of the things that I teach is when you get a question, and who's willing to do this with me, and I'll get a couple samples, but who's willing to party with me for a minute and play? Anybody that's not driving? Anybody that's not driving? I saw you reaching, Russ, not you. Rich, let's do you first. Hey, Rich, I see you have a Coldwell Banker name tag on there. How's the market?
Well, it's still pretty solid. I mean, we're starting to see some price reductions in our market.
Okay, so it's still pretty solid though?
Seems like it. Yeah,
Okay.
we still got a lot of people running around trying to buy, but we're seeing some price reductions, and I think interest rates have affected that stuff a little bit.
Okay.
They jumped a little quick.
Gotcha. Okay, well, thank you for that. Okay, who else? I want to take about 4 or 5 and show you something. Okay, Patrick, you're up.
Okay.
Hey, Patrick, I see your name tag there from Remax. Question, how's the market? I've been seeing stuff in the news, but how's the market from a real estate perspective?
It's great in pockets and it's slowing in others. So I think in the areas where people are using more financing, the interest rates definitely having an impact.
Okay.
But in the high end, I have numerous buyers looking in the, high millions, low 2 millions, where it's as competitive as it's ever been.
Okay.
So people cashing out from the Bay Area coming this direction, could care less about the interest rate. They just want the house they want.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, who's next? Wendy. Wendy, how's the market?
It's good. We still just have a couple days worth of inventory and prices. We're seeing a price reduction for the 450 and under price range, but everything
Okay.
else is still staying really good here.
Okay, awesome. Okay, Melissa. Melissa,
Yep.
how is the market? I see your name tag. How's the real estate market?
Oh, it's going good. I don't know where we're at with inventory. I mean, it's pretty average. We've got a lot of movement still happening, a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers. It really just depends on what you're looking for.
Okay, great question. You're almost right where I wanted you to be. Thank you, Melissa. One more. Let's go, Anna.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Anna. I see your real estate name badge there. You're with looks like Fathom Realty. What's going on with this market?
A lot of things are happening. It depends though. Are you a homeowner or a renter?
Oh my gosh, you nailed it. And I'm going to stop you there because you did a great job. And I want to now express all the input that we just got was accurate, correct? Everybody was given accurate info about their market. But who am I, the guy asking the question? Who am I? What's my identity? Am I a buyer, a seller, an investor, or a renter? Because all those markets are different and your answers should be applied to that specific, right? So I'm going to give you a coaching nugget today. Rich, you ask me how the market is and let me let you sound it and hear it from the other side.
Hey, Randy, I see that you're with eXp Realty. How's the real estate market going?
Yeah, thank you. And your name's Rich?
Yeah.
Rich, I appreciate you asking. Rich, let me ask you a question. Are you a buyer, seller, investor, or a renter?
I'm a buyer.
Awesome. So buyers, it's a great time for you. The market's finally like breaking the granite hold it had on the sellers market. So it's still moving that direction, but we believe that we're going to see increased inventory, increased opportunities for you, but also increased rates. So in my opinion, your best time to buy is today before rates increase again, get that rate locked in because there's still some opportunities in there to negotiate. You're getting a little more power as a buyer, but we want to get it probably before the rates increase, which it looks like they're going to do. No crystal ball, but if it were me, I'd get off the fence and I'd get into a transaction right now, get pre-approved, get a rate lock, and that is your best opportunity as a buyer.
That's great information. I didn't really realize that, but I know that some of my friends really struggled to be able to get a property over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. So pause. Rich, now ask me the same question again. I want you to hear the difference between a buyer's conversation and a seller's.
Hey, Randy, I see you're a real estate agent.
I am. Are you in the market now?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking about moving to the South because I'm a seller. I mean, my wife and I want to retire and we're thinking about moving to Arizona or Florida or somewhere where it's warmer all the time.
I love it. And so you're a seller, Rich. The market for sellers is incredibly brisk. You've probably seen everything going on over the last 2 years, 100,000 over asking price, 22 offers. All these things were just commonplace. All that changed 4 weeks ago for you, unfortunately. So the top of the market, the absolute most you could have got for your house is historical about 3-4 weeks ago. Only because the price really hasn't been impacted much yet, but the amount of buyers that are available to buy your house have been impacted. So you're going to see less offers. We're hoping to get the same number we could have got rolling the clock back 30 days, but we have less number of buyers because of the interest rates. We have an increased amount of inventory, so you have more competition that's coming down the road. So you're going to see less offers, less probably the exaggerated 100,000 over asking price. And historically, we've been able to price at the market or above because the market was on its way up, right? So you've realized we had 18% increase over the last year, right?
Yes.
That puts you in a favorable position. But unfortunately, the top of the market was a few weeks ago. For you, you have time, which is now. It's not in a week. It's not in 4 weeks. It's now. Because as the next set of rates go up, we lose another set of buyers, right? As a seller, I'll just educate you. You lose about 10% of the buyers every 0.5% of an increase or a 50 basis point increase. We've had 2. That's 20% of the market has lost the buyer. every market in the United States.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Absolutely. It's a statistical fact. And it may be a little different. They look at like a 1 point increase equals an 18% or a 12% loss of buyers. But I use like simple math. Every half a point is about 10% of the buyers, right? So plus or minus 1 or 2% in that margin. But the reality is your best time to sell is now. Nobody knows what the future holds, but as a seller, you have no better time than now to get the most for your house. Even if you have to rent in Texas for 6 months, you'll be ahead of the money that you may lose or the cost of that move is going to cost you in the next few months. Shall I come over this week and get started with that?
Man, I'd love it if you could come over tonight, man.
Okay.
We want to get this done and we don't want to lose any money. So you
Okay.
can come help us figure it out.
So pause. Okay. Now Rich, I want you to ask me the same question. I'm going to answer it like you guys did. Okay. Nothing personal, but the same question. He's not going to tell me who he is yet. Right. And then, so if he asks me the question, how's the market? And I go, oh man, it's freaking crazy. It's white hot. The houses are selling in minutes. And it's crazy. They're going 100,000 over asking price. The market's crazy. It's just this is crazy. That's how we've been describing it for 2 years, right?
Yep.
Which is accurate. But if he's a buyer, what did I just do?
Freaked him out.
Freaked him out, right? If he's an investor, what did I just do? We may have freaked him out as well. If he's a renter, he has no hope, right? But what about if you ask that question? What about if you say, hey, Wendy, thank you for the question. It depends. Are you a buyer, seller, investor, or renter? You automatically apply those to that category, and then you can get into deep depth into that particular category. They don't care what's going on the buyer side if they're a seller. They don't care what the sellers are going through if they're a buyer. An investor doesn't care about what the buyers and sellers are doing, right? It's just, can we make money in this market? So I think that one language will help you incredibly as you go through all the curiosity that's going to be around you and what's going on with the market. Questions on that? And I thought I saw a hand up, but I missed it. So if anybody has a question or input, come on with it. Wendy, yes, ma'am.
I'm going to be curious to see what happens in my market because we have 3 Amazons going in and we have a total of like 6,000 employees that they need to hire. So I'm going to be curious. And on top of that, our Hanford reservation area is doing a lot. So I'm wondering, I don't know how to price these houses, because we still have all this going on.
I will tell you, you have to watch your numbers. So if you gave me your numbers, it's kind of like, give me your numbers, I'll tell you your story. I just want you to focus on not that extraordinary information, because that's a real thing. You might have a completely isolated market because of Amazon. That's a real thing, right? Housing units. But for instance, Rex Real Estate this week just did a Zoom call with all their agents and said, hey, everybody's laid off because they had salaried type people in positions, right? So Rex is the one that's got the lawsuit with NAR. So they don't belong to NAR, and I don't know everything, but I know a little bit about that model. And I've got a really good friend that's in that model. And a week ago, she goes, yeah, we did a Zoom call just like this with whatever, how many hundred agents or whatever. And they just laid everybody off on a Zoom call. And then the ones that stayed are on a 1099. The reason I say that is, did we expect that 30 days ago? Did we expect that a week ago? Everything's changing in this market, right? We might find that Amazon can't get batteries for their trucks and they stop something. We just don't know what the future is with that. So the numbers won't lie. Average day on the market, price reduction, percentages, all these like key performance indicators are going to be valuable for you to watch what's going on. Remember, real estate, leading indicator is listings, lagging indicator is closings. The gap between listing and closing, we won't know what they are from today until 30 or 45 days from now, right? That cycle of real estate. So it may go under contract today at 100% of asking price, but they may negotiate through that. There's a lot of things that can happen until that actual close number, and that's the lagging indicator of what's going on. And then how many days that takes to do it, how many days they're on the market, these are all lagging indicators we won't know yet, right? But days on market, new homes on the market, listings, price reductions, all those are kind of leading indicators of what's happening on the trailing side of it or the lagging side. Good question. I saw another hand up. Was it
Thank you.
John?
Yeah, sorry, I was typing it, but then I was just like,
Oh, okay.
ask it.
And I didn't look at chat yet. I'll look at it.
No, I'll just ask it.
Okay.
Because I didn't end up finishing the question. But my question is that like now when we're doing comps, are we doing kind of like a certain kind of reduction on the price per square foot, or is there like a safe number based off of the interest rate and 20% of the buyers are gone? Like, how would you calculate? Like, if I was a seller and I asked you, how would you comp my home? How would you do it?
It's a great question. So there was just a report yesterday that came out about this particular specific thing on Inman that I actually did a YouTube about last night. So it's fresh in my mind. Here's what's been historically happening in the last 2 years. We did the comp based on sales, right? Not listings, sales, but the sales were increasing so fast that we had a really big error zone that we could be in, right? 10 or 15% error zone. We're still okay because we're in a growing market. We could catch up to the market as we go. So I'd explain that to the sellers. I'd say that is done now. We have to be at market because at worst, the market's declining. So the market today is not the same market in 30 days. We've got to think about where the market's going to be in the next 30 days and watch the data. So in my position, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we have to get in front of the market because it's in a downward trend, right? If we price it correctly in the downward trend, we're still going to get multiple offers and activity and hopefully even sales price or above because we priced it correctly. If we outprice it, then we're going to be in that no man's land. And that no man's land is a dangerous place because we can't get back to market. So you understand what market means, right? Today's price, right?
Got it.
And we're into a declining market now for sure, right? The numbers are there. We're in a declining market unless you're in a very specific bubble like Windy may be.
And then the other question, I guess, is that, you know, a lot of times I guess all the worst one we always have to deal with is the Zestimates, right?
Yeah. And so Zestimate, I included in my CMAs now, by the way, they're looking at it. So why hide, right? So it's one of my 3 things I do. So for instance, I would say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've completed a mini appraisal. It's considered a CMA, comparative market analysis. In my language, you may not understand that, but that's one mechanism I use. I also use, from a builder's perspective, I use cost per square foot. We look at what cost per square foot of both rebuilding and what the market will bear. And then I also do Zestimate. So all 3 of these combine into a number for me. So my number might be 500, Zestimate might be 480, and then the cost to rebuild the house may be 550. So when I take all that in with what's going on in the market, I think we should price your home at 505, for instance, right? So I'm kind of using all that stuff in my ability.
And then do you also just advise them like, look, you can't be looking at what your neighbor sold down the street a month ago because that price is not.
You can, but now you're looking at a 10% decrease for that
Reduction.
in
Okay.
60 days or whatever the number is. So in real numbers, I believe that we'll see a 5 to 10% price adjustment in the next 6 months, right?
Okay.
We've increased 18% in a year, and we did that the year before as well. So we've had like a 40% price run up in the last, call it 36 months for sure. So by doing that, I heard like Salt Lake City went up 22% in the last 24 months. So if they adjusted 10% of the market down next week, they're still had a significant uprun in that 2-year period. Statistically, that's not going to feel good to a seller that feels like they're losing $75,000. Right. So we just have to talk to them that the top of the market was past tense. The top of the market was 4 weeks ago. And now we're in the new market. And, you know, we could be on the outskirts of a significant downturn and recession. It's on every channel. Just don't believe me. Go look at the world. But the reality with that is there's no crystal ball. So what we have to do, you and I with your house, is we have to price it aggressively with this turn of the market to be the bride and not the bridesmaid. Because if you're the bridesmaid, even number 2, if your house doesn't sell this week, The other 12 or 13 houses that sell are in a better position financially than you. Would you agree? Right. So that's why it's important for us to price it correctly today. And we only have one shot at this. Right. So that's exactly how I would talk to my sellers right now.
Got it. I understand.
Okay. So again, in your market, you might want to say, for instance, say Patrick's market's doing very well, right? You might want to say, well, you know, Patrick, honestly, our market's a little insulated right now. Everywhere else in the nation, we're seeing this, and we're seeing these price reductions of about 15%. We're seeing, you know, less multiple offers. We've seen a 25% decrease in sales in 1 month in Salt Lake City and in the Keys, right? Whatever it may be. But we're isolated here currently. So I think there's motivation to get this house sold on the market right now, because it's hard to say when this will affect us locally. The things that are shoring us up here may be Amazon, it may be second homes, it might be mostly cash investors that don't care, whatever it is, right? I think it was 25% of every transaction in 2021 was an investor. Think about that. Think about that number.
And
1/4 of the whole complete market was an investor.
And the other question I had was like, now, if we do get into contract, the only reason I'm asking is because like I might be getting into contract today.
Okay.
But my question is that when we go to the appraiser to get the house appraised at the value, how do we factor in those comps? Because they probably have some other formula, or kind of, can you walk me through what's the best strategy for that?
So I'm not an appraiser, but I've done hundreds and hundreds of transactions. The appraisers always screw us up. I think they're out to hurt us. I'm kind of joking about that, but the appraiser is really a wild card in our system that we can't control. We can give it a little bit of value by meeting them there and providing comps and doing all the strategic stuff we can do. But at the end of the day, you can't do anything, right? It's out of our control. So focus on the stuff you control and let that run its course. But the good thing is they're going to be behind the gun as well, right? They're forecasting just like we are, but nobody knows what you can't appraise based on a forecast. So your appraisals are going to probably come in at valuation for quite a while because we're at the top of the market heading down, right? But as we start progressing in this and they're really starting to measure this, we're starting to see these low sells that will happen. The appraisers are going to get a little wonky again, right? Just like in 08, the appraisers were so afraid that the thing was going to go to zero that they were just being overly aggressive and not looking at values. But it's really just a value-based relationship with the comps.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Great question. What else you guys hearing? What do you want to talk about? So does this freak you out? Is anybody freaked out by this? Be honest. Not at all?
I'm not freaked out at all.
Well, I give you a lot of credit because I'm not freaked out. I'm just, things are happening so fast, right? What goes up must come down. We knew that. But I think really what this turn is going to do, it's going to rewrite the way that we think of real estate, in my opinion. I think when we come out of this, we're going to be much more tech appropriate. We're going to be a much more streamlined end-to-end transactionally that's been really pressured for a long time. COVID pushed us into the cloud-based world very abruptly. Would you agree? Within 30 days, every agent in the world was valuing the idea of working remotely and cloud-based. Again, this is a broker agnostic coaching call, but that's factual, right? And so when we move into this new market, I'm going to just warn you, you have to become a professional. Again, a lot of us have left that professional, really operating in a professional capacity. Not to offend anybody. It's not like you're acting out of integrity. I'm just saying the professionals are going to win in this next market in the winter of this real estate market. The professionals are going to win and the amateurs are going to do part-time, right? The amateurs are going to leave the business. So you just have to decide if you're going to be a professional or an amateur. It's like winter is coming and I'm freaking fired up, right? I'm buying snowshoes and a parka. I'm going to dominate in this winter because it creates a whole new level of opportunities. It creates a whole new level of professional in Google ads and LSA, local service ads. All these things are going to be part of the new market. The pros are going to be aware of it and the amateurs are going to be dismissing it and poo-pooing it. So as I look at everybody on the call, I just want you to be professionals. That's what I want for you, is to be professionals and look at this from a perspective of how can I up my game from the consumer standpoint of being a professional, right? What does that look like? No problem, Rich. I'll see you soon, brother. But you see what I'm saying? Samantha, you have a question.
Well, I'm with me being brand new in a sense.
Yeah.
I don't want to be considered an amateur, but I am. So what would be your advice for newbies, if you will, to get ahead of the game and focus on learning certain, because we're already trying to learn so much.
I know. And I love the question, and thanks, could be a little vulnerable saying you're brand new, but it's not to me, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. When I'm saying amateur versus pro, I'm not saying new versus experienced, because there's some 20-year veterans that are complete idiots,
Right.
complete bonehead idiots. They should not be in this business, right? I love all realtors, but let's be honest, we're not all created the same. So when I'm speaking to that, it's not that you have to maybe wear a suit and tie to be considered a professional. To me, it's market knowledge. It's the way you run your business. It's follow-up systems. It's your creed to who you want to be in real estate, right? If your creed is, I'm going to answer every call within 5 minutes. I'm going to set up a system for everybody that comes into my web of what I could do to help them. It becomes maybe your brand or your identity, right? So Samantha, real world, you're brand new. Here's where you can dominate all the other amateurs in your market, is be the one that brings the most amount of resources and value to them on video, right? This is the one thing. Control Google ads are a big deal. People are Googling you now more than ever. So go Google yourself so you see what your identity and what your brand is. And then at that point, start putting out, if it were me, and you're asking me, so I'm coaching you, right? I would laser focus on valuable content about what the market's doing every single week. So people start tracking with you and they start following you, and do it on TikTok, do it on Instagram, do it on Facebook, do it on YouTube. YouTube's the greatest search engine now. It's been number one for a long time. And then Facebook's like runs second, Instagram, they're bouncing around. TikTok's a real force now. So TikTok, I think you have to be in front of now. But you want to do it in a place of professionalism again, with content and value. But now every single week you go, hey, it's Samantha. This week we increased inventory by 2 days. This week we had price reductions that went from 10% to 13%. This week, the average sales price went from 403 to 399, the first decrease in over 30 months. This is the value that's going to get you to build trust and professional ability in your clients, right? The number one reason people buy from you is trust. Number one. How you get that trust depends, right? So that's number one, trust. So you want to have a trustworthy conversation and data that they can trust. So I would do a video that says, this is what's going on in the market. This is where the market was a week ago when I talked to you. Throw up a chart, throw up a little graph or something that's attractive, and keep it all short. Keep it all to, like a 3 to maximum 6 minute kind of a weekly update. And you can easily do it in a 30-second TikTok format. Hey, it's Randy Byrd. Today's Thursday, May 12th, and I'm bringing you the real estate update. This week, we've had a lot of change. The rates went up one more time, 50%, went up 0.5%, 50 basis points. Inventory's creeped up a little bit, which is good for buyers. So if you're a seller, I'd get off the fence now. Things are changing quickly. If you're a buyer, you've got, a lot of optimism in front of you, opportunity-wise, but rates have increased. If you need anything real estate related, call me. I'm Randy Byrd. Talk to you later. Bye, right? Something light, something simple. And I think this is your greatest opportunity for any level of agent to increase your professionalism. And remember, when the market that we've had the last 2 years, you could drop signs out of the back of your truck and they could fly in the wind and somebody find them, and you could find buyers and do real estate, right? The market's been white hot. If you have a listing, you're a king, right? So everybody got a little bit full of themselves over the last couple of years when they had a listing. They were like, don't call me, only email me. You can't call me between 4 and 6. Seller's not even going to consider an offer if you ask for anything, right? That's been common language for the last couple of years. And then, hey, I have a question on that listing. It says right in MLS, don't call me. Submit your offers like they are. That's going to change very, very quickly because they're going to be outed, right? They're going to be out of professional capacity, in my opinion. The sellers won't know because they're just being ornery or a jerk. The sellers won't know. It's just all these things will catch up where you have to be professional to lead the next phase. And for me, you know, when I look at it, we've talked about being prospecting based and marketing enhanced. A lot of agents have got marketing enhanced over the last couple of years because that was what was seemed to be working. But we've got to be prospecting based, marketing enhanced in this new market. Trust me on that one. So if you're used to a reactive business where it's just been leads have been coming in, maybe it's even a lead source that's been crushing it for you. I got a guy that spends $187,000 a month in Zillow, $187 a month. All right, so they're spending $2 million a year in Zillow. And guess what? Their market went 25% south last week. 187 a month that didn't go anywhere. You follow me? So we've got to really be in tune with that stuff. That's an exaggerated example. But for you, if you're spending $500 a month and that was working over the last 2 years, really be cautiously looking at that to see if that's continuing, right? Hopefully that was helpful for you. So in summary, identify a brand that you feel passionate about and then get all in on video and be the knowledge broker, even being brand new. There's a gal on TikTok. It's called, I think, Real Estate _Oregon or something like that. And I looked her up. She's got nothing. She's got no business. She's got one sale. She's got nothing. But I see her crap 5 times a day. It's really good, actually. But you follow me? I see her stuff 5 times a day. And she's driving down the road. Here's what a country road in Oregon looks like. And the next day it's like, here's a house listed for $478 in Salem. And it's intriguing, but she's so consistent. It's like everything that pops up, I see something about Oregon. I look down to see if, and it's her for sure. And so real estate wise, because I got the MLS access and the production reports, right? She's not got really anything going on that's impressive, but to the public, she's all in, right? She seems like the Oregon resource. That's my point. Helpful? All right, cool. Well, we're getting towards the end. Any questions? Anybody? It's open mic, whatever you need. What can I do to help you? What thoughts do you have in your head of concerns, or where do you need help with a script or something that we can help you with? Hearing none.
I asked a question on the chat.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, I've had several calls from clients who feel they bought at the top of the market. Now they're really concerned about overall values. And I am, because I was here, I mean, I've seen several different markets starting in 2004.
Yeah.
And I am concerned that we're going to see a shift towards more foreclosures, short sales. Maybe now investors will get involved. Although Oregon, I'm in Oregon, so it's an interesting landscape. We went from, 55 to 100 tours per house, depending on the price range. And now, I mean, it's almost like it was overnight. We saw a change. That some areas it's still busy, but I don't want, I don't want to assure them everything's okay, because if they paid it, I warned them, if you pay at the top of the market, anything can happen, but it still concerns me. Yeah.
And your concerns are accurate, but just, we can't do anything about those, right? So we have to be honest. If a client asks me, hey, we bought 3 months ago and we're concerned we bought at the top of the market. Now I know you did, right? I didn't know that at the time.
Right.
We led you correctly, but the market has changed and markets go up and down. So I would try to pacify them and calm them down by saying, hey, when you're thought of when you bought this house, how long do you want to live in this house? Well, we need to be here 3 years before my son graduates. Okay, you don't have anything to worry about. Real estate typically is a 2 to 3 year cycle. Now, if you need to sell in December, that's a real challenge. That's a different conversation, right? Because it's likely that you're going to be starting to lose equity.
Right. So my other question was, as far as data, besides your local MLS, is there a site that you recommend to find really good data that's kind of nationwide?
Yeah, so what's it called? It's not Real Estate Matters, but it's so Inman is a great place for, it's getting a little National Enquirer, honestly, Inman News. That's a good subscription service where you get kind of what's going on in the market. You get 4 or 5 updates a day. But the other one is I thought it's called Real Estate Matters, but it's anybody help me with this? What's the name of it? I'll bring it to the call next week. It's a real estate.
Current matters?
Current Matters. Thank you.
Keeping current matters.
Yeah.
KCM.
Yep. KTM. That's right. Keeping, what is it? Keeping Current Matters.
KCM.
Yeah. Keeping Current Matters, KCM. That's a great subscription service that talks specifically about national statistics and trends in real estate and what's going on. And they're pretty much on top of it. Swanepoel does reports about agents and production levels and things, and does have a lot of good info about the market, but KCM, Keeping Current Matters, that's what it is. Thank you. So I personally, I'd subscribe to all those. I'm subscribed to all of them. And that's, I get that with my coaching clients, and then the networking and the masterminds and things. You take all that data and you kind of get an idea for it. But again, you only have to focus on your local area. I have 16 areas I want to keep my fingers on and help manage and navigate them appropriately. But again, the MLS is going to be your local data. And then you could also subscribe to a couple of those services that are giving you a kind of a national footprint of what's going on also.
Also, Ryan Lindquist on Facebook is amazing, but he's like in the Sacramento region. But find your local appraiser expert. I think that's a good place to follow as well.
Yeah. And now it's probably the best time than ever to get a mastermind group together. Find an attorney, an appraiser, a CPA, a home inspector, find all these people and say, hey, let's have a monthly mastermind group and just talk about what's going on in the market. Maybe even weekly in the beginning. When COVID happened, I did a weekly mastermind for 4 months where we brought in the best agents in the nation. #1 Keller Williams agent in the world, #1 Coldwell Banker agent, #1, in the state of Oregon, #1. I had all these super horsepower people on there giving their opinions of what's going on. And every week, we had this mastermind. You could do that personally within your own business very easily. Or lean on LaTip and, Exchange Club and Rotary and those kind of things for networking for business. But I'm talking about specifically talking about what's going on in the space. Real quick on foreclosures. There's an opportunity there anytime you have a downturn market. The difference between 08, 07, and now is the implosion of the financial business, right? That's what really led to that, the negative AM loans and the zero interest rates and all that really related to that. We don't have that now. We have the most amount of equity we've ever had in housing. We've got moratoriums and things that fuel the defaults and the foreclosure piece a little bit too. So that's a little bit of a wild card. But just in general sense, don't believe that we're going to revisit the market we had in 08. There's not a single economist that feels that way. I don't feel that way. But with that said, there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity to get in front of foreclosure REO specialists, maybe reapply for foreclosure radar and REO trans and some of the other things that are in that space. There will be opportunities in it. And like before, the agents to get in early are going to have the majority of that market share. It's just how it works. So there may be an opportunity for you to get in that space. Okay. Anything else I could help with today?
Excellent training. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. What's your name? Is it? Oh, it's Kelly Joe. I saw ambitious. I like ambitious one. I like that.
Sorry about that. I'm running around cleaning the house, doing all that.
No,
stuff.
no.
Things ready for the day. Thank you.
Yeah,
so
no,
much.
I'm happy to have you here.
Happy to be here. I love my team. I'm so excited to be with EXP.
That's cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, boy, earlier you said Salt Lake City. If you don't mind, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what's been going on the last 30 days in the market? Any indication?
It's still been really steady.
Still hot.
With rates, it is changing. How many buyers can now afford that particular home?
Yeah.
So we're just educating them that you know, you're not gonna be able to get that $500,000 home now.
Gotcha.
You know, it's out of reach because interest rates have climbed. So,
Yeah.
and there's a huge amount of energy and just people trying to beat the interest rates.
Beat the system. I know.
Yeah, those that have already have something under contract, you know, and they're if they've locked their rate, they're okay. But
Yeah, I
others,
agree.
it's an issue.
One of my predictions that I'm not happy with is the new construction's really going to get hit on the head with this, because the time to build a home has quadrupled because of material issues and supply chain issues. That's unrelated to everything else. Forget about lumber's 30-40% over where it's been historically over the last decade. All these things they can build into the cost of the home in the last 2 years. But now as we're changing, all those additional costs are going to impact what the end price point is. And that end price point is going to be declining. So we're going to see housing really start slowing down in an area where they've been trying to ramp up to keep up with the unlimited, need, the inventory issue. So now inventory increases, they've been ramping up. It's a 5-year ramp up to build a new subdivision, right? So you're looking at 5-year windows of trying to time this properly. And these rate locks aren't 18-month rate locks. That's how long they're taking to finish some of these new homes, 18 months. So you can't lock rates for 18 months.
Yeah, we haven't experienced that, but it's 9 months to a year.
Yeah. So, but even a year in a new construction, a lot of things change in a year, right?
Oh, sure. There's going to be individuals that now they can't qualify for that home that they have put a sizable amount down on that they may not get back.
Or they're going to have buyer reluctance, which is very normal as well. They think that they're going to wait till the bottom of the market, just like the sellers are trying to time the top of the market, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so again, I really want to reemphasize, this is not about doom and gloom. This is about opportunity and reality, right? This market needed to be changed. It needed to shift because we were just super inflated for the last couple of years. We thought we were going to have a shift in 2020 with COVID, and it just super, amplified.
Yeah. The market could not sustain that type of growth.
That is correct.
Just could not.
And so like everything else, we're going to do a pendulum, right? We're not going to go, oh, we'll get it to perfect. It's going to swing too far the other way, and it's going to swing and we're going to end up here. But that's just real estate, Again, I want to really focus on excitement. I want to focus on opportunity and optimism as we look at for who we're looking at it for, right? The buyers have been getting beat up for years. They're finally going to have a foot to stand on. They're finally going to be able to ask for home inspection and a septic inspection without throwing the deal out the window, right?
Oh, yeah.
But Boyd, thank you for participating. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, it's 10 o'clock on the nose. I got my next call, but thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Mondays, 10 to 11. Remember that. Mondays, 10 to 11. And I appreciate your support. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.